Hi friends, thank you so much for watching this video and welcome to my channel. Here I share my love for arts and crafts and invite you to join me on this adventure. Today I come to you with a video I wish I saw at the beginning of my journey with Cricut. There are for sure so many things which can go wrong when you just started out crafting, so it's definitely better to be equipped with all the knowledge and all the necessary material to avoid wasting your money and time. So when I purchased my Cricut in 2021, the first project I wanted to do were the die-cut stickers. Now I can tell you that it was super challenging. I wasted so much paper because my machine was not calibrated properly, and I did not realize that there's the difference between making glossy stickers and matte stickers. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the most common issues you may face when trying to create a project using the print then cut function of the Cricut. If you're still facing some issues or you have open questions after this video, go ahead and reach out in the comments or email me. Great, so let's go ahead and get started with our problem solving. So let's talk about the principles behind the print then cut function. How does it actually work? So once you have prepared your files in the Cricut design space, printed it out, pasted on your Cricut mat, your machine will turn on the sensor light, which is this light which just came on, and it's going to start scanning your sheet and looking for the cut sensor marks, which are these basically black marks in the corners of your sheet. So your task at this point is to make sure that your Cricut can read the cut sensor marks. And if it can't, you will most probably get an error message that your machine cannot read the cut sensor marks. In order to avoid that, just make sure that there is enough light in the room where your Cricut is performing the task. As you can see on this video, this is more than enough. This is plenty. I do not install any additional light as it might actually overexpose the Cricut, and the sensor might also be confused by that. There should also be enough contrast between the cut sensor marks and the material. So as you can see here, the cut sensor marks are black and the material itself, the sticker sheet, is white. So there is plenty of contrast and the sensor can see that. But if, for example, you're planning to cut out something on the, let's assume, blue sheet of paper, it's not going to work since there is not enough contrast. Besides, always make sure that the black lines or the cut marks are printed in good quality and that they are not smudged. It doesn't really matter what's inside of the cut marks. In this case, I'm cutting out the stickers, so if they would be in bad quality or barely visible, Cricut doesn't care about that. It's only looking at the cut marks and cutting accordingly. So let's talk about the material for your stickers. What you can generally choose between is the matte sticker paper and glossy sticker paper. There's of course something like holographic stickers, but I categorize them into glossy paper because they are obviously very shiny. So what happens when you are trying to make the glossy stickers? You load your mat into the cutting machine and it starts scanning, looking for your cut sensor marks. Your cut sensor light is shining down on your glossy paper and the light is being refracted onto the sensor itself and it's just getting blinded. So you either get an error message that your machine cannot read the cut sensor marks, or it's simply cutting your stickers in all the weird places. So everything comes down to this one trick. You have to keep your cut sensor marks visible and not shiny at all times. They have to be matte in order to be visible. You can do that by taping over your cut sensor marks with matte transparent tape. So once again, it cannot be glossy tape, of course, it has to be matte one. The sensor marks are much smaller now, they're just this black corners and not like here, the whole outline, as you can see on this video, so you don't have to waste too much tape. As the last step, I'm going over the tape with the scraper tool in order to make sure that there are no air bubbles and that the lines are clearly visible. Or you can basically do it vice versa, meaning print everything on the matte paper and paste the glossy film over everything what is inside of the cut lines. This way you can keep the cut lines matte and also have the glossy stickers. Okay, so now we know how to prepare our materials for cutting and how to make sure that your Cricut sees the cut sensor marks. However, you might still face some issues with your print then cut function, and here's why. We have to make sure that our print then cut files are prepared properly and also printed out correctly. So here's a couple of things to pay attention to. Once you have aligned your stickers on the sticker sheet, make sure to select them all and click attach so that the Cricut Design Space does not move them around, and they are going to be printed out just like you position them on the canvas. After that, you can proceed to clicking Make It, and on this page, make sure that your material size is chosen correctly. So if you're using the A4 type of sticker paper, then make sure the A4 is selected. After that, you can click Continue, and you will be redirected to the printing page. Click the Send to Printer button, and at this point I do not recommend using the Add Bleed option because sometimes the bleed is added in all the wrong places. Besides, we always want to use the System Dialog option, as this will enable us to adjust the print settings properly. So once the new window is open, save your file as PDF to your computer and open it up. Proceed to print settings, and if you're a Mac user, you have to make sure that your image is not scaled up or down. You can do that by choosing the option scale rather than scale to fit. So type 100 in the field next to scale. This will basically allow us to go to this original size which we have downloaded from the Cricut Design Space. Besides, when it comes to quality, I always choose best, and also media type is photo paper if I'm printing stickers. Doesn't matter if it's matte or glossy paper. This obviously won't affect your cutting quality, but rather the overall quality of your stickers. I always examine the quality of the printout, especially the cut marks. In our case, they're extremely important, they cannot be smudged, and they have to be printed out in a good quality. A little tip from my side: do not choose the sticker paper as base material, as it doesn't cut properly. I always choose a cardstock adhesive backed for my stickers, and I adjust the pressure depending on the thickness of my paper. You can find the cardstock setting in All Materials section, and you can bookmark it for easy access. When loading your mat into the cutting machine, always make sure that it's aligned. So let's assume you did everything according to this video and your stickers still look like this. So the outline is off, as you can clearly see in here, the stickers are not cut out properly. So in order to troubleshoot this issue, we're going to perform the calibration of our print then cut function. In order to do that, open up your Cricut Design Space menu and choose Calibration. There are 3 types of machine calibration you can try. In this case, we're going to go with the Print then Cut calibration, so let's go ahead and press that button. You will be then asked to print out the calibration sheet using your home printer. We will then proceed with the next steps as instructed by our Cricut Design Space. Mainly, we will stick the calibration sheet to the mat and load it into our cutting machine. Once the mat is loaded into the Cricut, your machine will start scanning the calibration sheet and eventually will start cutting it. You, on the other hand, will be prompted to answer a couple of questions in the Cricut Design Space. The first task is to look at the small square in the middle and answer the question whether the cut lines touch the printed line all the way around. In my case, it was the evident no, so I have marked that. And the Cricut has proceeded to cutting the vertical lines one by one. I was asked to examine the lines and answer the question which ones have cuts closest to the center. In case of the top row, I have examined it and defined that the line 13 had the cut closest to the center, and when it comes to the right side of the lines, it was line N which had the cut right in the middle of the line. Once you have answered the questions, the calibration is basically over and you can go ahead and cut the project to see if it was successful. Here is a little comparison before and after the calibration, so we can surely state that it was successful. Following these simple steps, you will be able to create good-looking stickers for your personal use and your small business. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you consider this content useful, please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss another Cricut or DIY tutorial. See you next time!